I had to let it play a little longer today.
I'm sorry, I don't have control.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and family. Welcome once again to the Abundant Way Ministries Tuesday evening empowerment session.
Yeah.
Series session.
Yeah.
For those of you who have not been with us, we have taken the month of September and we have called an audible. We had a whole different plan for the month of September, but we had to call an audible because God led me to talk about investing. And I am not an investor in all things. I'm not an expert in investing in all things, but we do know a little something about real estate investing. So I am taking we are taking the month of September to share with you everything we can.
Well, we took the month of September because this is the last day of September.
You are absolutely right.
Yeah.
The last day. So we're going to end it with a show enough bang. I hope that those of you who have been able to join us, hey, Deanna Jackson.
Hey,
good to see you.
How are you?
Yeah. We hope that those of you who have been able to join us have been getting something out of it. Yeah. We've had some very good interaction and
very good interaction. Questions.
Very good interaction. And just so you know, and we're going to jump right in today. Just so you know, we started off talking about vision, right? And the reason why should anyone even consider investing in real estate? And what we said was, number one, you will not get wealthy on your job, right?
Absolutely.
And when I talk about wealth, I'm not simply talking about money. I'm talking about what it takes to leave legacy so that your life has meaning beyond your time here on this earth. You know, what impact do you leave behind, right? So that's ultimately what wealth is all about in the context in which we're speaking. And most times your legacy takes finances. It takes money. Put it bluntly. Just that.
Wow, that's right on time. We did not plan that.
Right. So we did not plan that. So we talked about the big why. Then we talked about vision, goals, and strategy. Right. Okay. So having a bigger vision for your life, for your family's life, for your family. A big vision for your marriage, for those of you who are married, you know what I'm saying? And when your vision is big, it's going to call for more resources, right? And so if you have a big enough why, you will come to the conclusion that your job will not finance your why. And that's a good thing. You should come to that conclusion. And then last week we started talking about how to get started, right? So we started talking about how to get started, and I alluded to a spreadsheet, a formula that I had come up with for some of my investor clients several years ago, and how we were using that formula to buy properties that always made money, right? And my nephew was on the call, and he wanted me to share that that formula, that spreadsheet. I sent it to him. Hey, Robin.
Hey, Robin.
I sent it to him, but I thought it would be worth explaining today. So what we're going to do today is we're going to close out this session, this series, with how to find, how to analyze, and how to close the deal. And in that analyzing the deal, we're gonna try to demo that spreadsheet for you. All right. So as usual, we are going to open up with scripture. You know what? It's a sad commentary to think that what we're talking about has nothing to do with your relationship with God, your spirituality. Has no biblical foundation. It has everything to do with it, right? Because we're also, when we talk about wealth, we're talking about kingdom building, right? And I'm telling you, you cannot do this stuff, what I'm talking about, you can't do it on your job, all right, so let's go. This scripture, I know you've heard it before because it keeps coming up. I think this scripture has come up in every single session, which means it's worth repeating. It's worthy of repeating. So hit
it. Luke 14:28. Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost?
You know how I like it. Count up the cost. All right. Okay. So we're getting ready to get in. Again, I just want to make sure you guys are up to speed. For those of you who have not been with us, we've been talking about real estate investing. We've been talking about why real estate investing, the big why. We're talking about your vision, your goals, and the strategy. We've talked about how to get started. Now we're getting ready to get down into the nitty gritty. First thing we want to talk about is finding the deal, right? Because a lot of people, I think many people, when they hear or talk about real estate investing, what I've noticed, what I've experienced in some of my dealings with clients and people, some people want to go after the sexy properties, what I call the sexy properties. Everybody wants to do an Airbnb.
Yeah.
And back in the day, it was these luxury, high-end condos. That's okay, depending on where you are in your investing career. If you're just getting started, I would advise you not to do that. I would advise you to stick with what we call your bread and butter properties.
Yeah.
What is a bread and butter property? Bread and butter property is simply your 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage in a C, which is a middle-class neighborhood, right? Why? Can you guess why?
Those are easier to sell.
Exactly. Okay, you are good. You know more than you think you know. Those are easier to sell. And why are we buying houses that are easy to sell? Anytime you buy real estate, you should always buy with your exit plan in mind. Begin with the end in mind. I think we shared that as one of the tips in our strategy session. You don't want to buy something that will be hard to sell. So you want to buy something that most families would probably buy. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 2-car attached garage or 2-car garage in a decent neighborhood, right? A lot of people go straight to the hood. There's nothing wrong with buying in the hood. I'm talking about in bad neighborhoods. You can make a lot of money there, but there's also a lot of risk there. Some people want to buy those sexy luxury properties.
Mm-hmm.
You can make money in those properties, but your risk is also very high because your expenses are going to be very high. But if you stick to your bread and butter properties in your C class neighborhoods, right? So C is like right there in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
right? You have a better chance of selling that property if things go wrong, if things go bad, not just with your real estate investment, but if life just takes a turn. You see what I'm saying? So sometimes life takes a turn and you find yourself having to liquidate some stuff in order to readjust, right? And if you find yourself in that type of situation, then a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage home will be a lot easier to sell than a lot of these other sexy properties, right? So that's one thing I want to say. That's one thing I want to say about what to look for. Mm-hmm. The next thing I want to talk about is where to look, right? So I mentioned your C-class neighborhoods. That's just part of it. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of times when we start investing, we approach it from a very shallow perspective, right? We look at where we live, which is a good thing. We call that your farm. You want to invest. A good idea is to invest where you are familiar, and so we call that your farm. And so while we're talking about your farm, I'm put on my farmer's hat. See, I switched up on you. See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? You got to be able to switch up. So your farm is an area that you are very familiar with, right? You know that area like the back of your hand, and you're going to work that area. That's what we call your farm. So that's one strategy for where to look, where to find real estate deals. But it doesn't necessarily have to be in your farm area. That's why I had on my Italy hat, because you can invest outside of your farm area. And you got on your Paris hat. We don't live in Italy or Paris, but truth be told, you can invest there, not living there, yep. Right? Why would I invest somewhere that I don't live? Here's the big picture. You have to look at the economy of the place where you're going to invest, or let the economy determine where you should invest. Let me put it like that. What do I mean by that? Okay, so let's say where you live is very expensive, right? The cost of living is very high. You might not want to invest there because you have a smaller pool of people that you can rent to or sell to, right? You might not want to invest in areas that don't have a strong job market, right? So you want to look for areas, cities, and states that have strong job markets, right? Especially those middle-class jobs, right? You might want to invest in areas that have a lot of good industry, like technology is an industry, and you got to think about the times. Back in the day, when we were in the manufacturing industry, you probably wanted to invest where there were plants, like Detroit. They had the Motor City. We're making all the cars, and so because of that, surrounding cities and states were in that same industry. So Cleveland had the steel, Akron had the tires, and so everybody was working in those plants and in those offices. Good place to invest at the time, but you have to watch the times, because times change, right? And so when times change, you got to be able to switch with the time. Oh, not let me wear that one, because what happened was, you can't see this, but that is the letter A. That stands for Atlanta. Atlanta became a very good place to invest because people, and it still is, because people have been coming to Atlanta in droves in droves for the last 20 plus years. Industry is here. Entertainment is here. You name it, is right here in Atlanta. But you've got to be able to pivot, because now Atlanta, the cost of living is becoming high. So now you might want to pivot and start moving on the outskirts. So you got to really pay attention to the macro and the micro economy. What is the economy telling me, right? A lot of people invest by emotion. Ooh, I like that area. What do you like about it? You like the way it looked? No, you got to play this thing by the numbers, right? Where is the economy strong for the type of investing that you want to do? Okay. All right. So that's where. Okay. Now we're going to talk about how to find good deals, right? Because I'm going to make this statement, and this is a statement that I learned a long time ago, and it threw me for a loop. Now I understand it, and I hope you understand it. Somebody told me in real estate, you don't make money when you sell a house. You make it when you buy it. I said, what? Yeah. You have to keep that rule of thumb at the forefront of your mind. You don't make money when you sell. You make your money when you buy. And what that means is that what property you buy, how you buy it, makes all the difference in the world, right? The better your deal is when you buy it determines whether or not you're going to make money and how much money you're going to make, right? So the whole trick to this thing is finding the good deals. It's not even about the property. It's not even about the house. It's about finding the deal. So many people run out trying to find a house to buy. That's the wrong approach. You are looking for a deal, right? You're trying to buy houses at a discount or property. I'm saying houses, but know that also includes commercial property, right? It's just property, real estate in general. So you'll hear me use the word house. But it's not about the building itself. It's not so much about the building itself. It's more so about the deal. All right. So what do I mean by that? You want to look for distressed situations. You want to look for people who are going through distressed situations. This is where you find your great deals. It's not about the house. How do you find people going through distressed situations? Here's an easy way, and it's absolutely free. We call it driving for dollars. There's a company called Deal Machine that has an app that you can download on your phone, and it will help you map your routes through neighborhoods, and you can stop in front of a house. You can take a picture of the house. It will it can email, text, and send a postcard to the owner and put that person's name in your database right there on the spot, right? So what are we looking for? We're driving in those C-class neighborhoods looking for property that's in distress. How do you identify it? In the summertime, look for houses where the grass is just growing out of control, right? And even if in the wintertime, if the grass isn't growing, look for houses with the mailbox, where the mailbox is overflowing, right? If you're real risky, you can look for houses where the windows are boarded up, right? Some people may not want to mess with those houses, but these are all signs of distressed property. Ooh, here's another little trick. Go driving through the neighborhood on garbage day and see whose garbage cans are not being put out. That's a trick, right? Because if the garbage can is not being put out, chances are that house is vacant, right? And so what you want to do then is find the owner, right? So there's ways that you can get an address in what we call skip trace that address to find the owner's contact information. their phone number, email address, and mailing address. And you can reach out to that owner and ask them, are they interested in selling that property? Quite often you'll find out there is some type of life-changing situation that makes that person a motivated seller, right? You'd be surprised at how much they might let that property go because of something that's going on in their life. Watch this. Yep, we're not looking for the house, but we used the condition of the house as an indicator that the person who owns that house may be going through some life situation. We weren't looking for the house, we were looking for the person with the life-changing situation. This is how you find the best deals. And most of these deals are what we call off-market deals. They're not listed on the MLS, right? You're not going to find them on Zillow, right? This is you just driving in different neighborhoods looking for these indicators, right? That is the key, ladies and gentlemen. You would be surprised. You might find a $300,000 house that somebody is willing to sell for $150,000. Why? Because they're going through something, right? Probate. Some of you may know what that word probate means. That means that somebody died in the family, right? And perhaps the heirs don't want to have anything to do with that house. They live out of town. They're just trying to close out the estate. And so they just take just about anything. It happens all the time, right? And so if you know what to look for, you can find those deals, all right? So those are just a couple of quick tips. There's others, right? You can get with a real estate agent who knows what to look for on the MLS. Most times you're going to look for something that says, I remember before all of this, we used to look in the newspaper and we used to look for keywords: handyman special, investor special, right? Motivated seller. Look for these keywords. These are people letting you know, I need you to come take this problem off of my hands. What do we look for? Absentee landlords, tired landlords. Go down to the eviction court and catch some landlord down there mad that he's back there trying to do another eviction, and ask him, is he ready to sell that house? 9 times out of 10, he's going to be like, take it. It's all about the deal. And so then you actually negotiate the best deal. You try to create a win-win situation, but you definitely want to make sure you negotiate the best deal for you, right? All right. I'm going to move a little fast because I know we're getting ready to get into the part where I'm going to try to demo this. This is always challenging. Technology always challenges from time to time, but I'm going to try to demo something for you so that you can see how to know whether or not you have a good deal. Right? And it's going to blow your mind how you know that you're getting a good deal. All right, I'm getting ready to switch gears. Here we go. Pray for me. All right, so I'm going to try to share my screen, and I'm going to bring up that spreadsheet that I shared with my nephew, Michael, last week. And I want you guys to let me know if this is working for you. All right. It's going to be a delay.
Let's see. Can you guys? They can't see it yet.
Okay. There is a delay. I'm watching the other screen. So I'm going to keep talking. All right. So what you see on your screen is a spreadsheet that I created several years ago, and this is the spreadsheet that that I use with my investor clients to ensure that they're getting a good deal. Now, really, it's all about your approach to a purchase. Right? You don't buy a house and then figure out if it's a good deal. You figure out it's a good deal before you buy the house, right? And you don't just throw it to the wind and hope that this is a good deal. You actually make it a good deal. I'm going to see if I can blow this up so that you all can see it, right? And then I'm going to walk through it, and then feel free to type in the chat questions that you may have. So this is where we should be able to see the chat. So I'm going to see if I can blow this up so you guys can see it. Now I'm going to switch my screen so I can see it. All right. Okay. So if you notice on this spreadsheet that I've created in this workbook, there's 2 sheets down at the bottom. One sheet is for a buy and hold analysis. This is what we use to determine how much to buy a property that we're going to rent out for, right? And then the second sheet is a fix and flip analysis. So they work very similar, but there are some differences because the strategy is different. Right now, we're going to talk about the buy and hold analysis, right? This is what we use when we want to buy a house that we're going to hold on to. We're going to rent it out, right? Remember when I said you don't make your money when you sell a property, you make your money when you buy it. This sheet is going to show you exactly what that means. I'm going to use an example. Let's say we found a house in one of those C-class neighborhoods, right? And middle-class neighborhood is a nice neighborhood. Here's another tip for you. I'm going to insert this one. Always try to find the ugliest house in the best neighborhoods. That is a key to the formula. Find the ugliest house in the best neighborhoods. All right. So let's say we found a house, we were driving for dollars, we found a house that was in disrepair. And we contacted the owner and asked if he or she would be willing to sell that property. And they said, yes, I would entertain an offer. So now you have to try to do some analysis to decide how much you're willing to pay for the house. It has nothing to do with how much they want or what their asking price is. This whole thing is about you coming up with your maximum offer amount. This box right here in the green, this green box on row 6, which says max offer amount, this is the key to the whole buying process, right? So let's say you found a house. The first thing that you want to do is find out how much that house is worth if it was all fixed up, right? So remember, we found the ugliest house in the best neighborhood. So this house may have the windows boarded up. It may have siding falling off. The roof might be messed up. The toilet might be overflowing. We want it bad. We want it to look bad. When you see that ugly house, you should get excited, right? Because the neighborhood might be a $300,000 neighborhood, right? Good neighborhood. But the house, you certainly wouldn't pay $300,000 for it in that condition. But you want to know how much that house is worth if it was in perfect condition. That is what we call your ARV, or your after repair value. After I fix it up, this is what that house should be worth. Let's say that house will be worth, give me a number.
$350,000.
I'm going to say $300,000.
Of course you are.
Yeah, I'm going to keep these numbers round for the people, right? House, if it was all fixed up, just like all the other houses, it'd be worth $300,000, right? But because the house is in disrepair, we know that it's going to need some repairs. So the second number that we need to find out is how much is it going to cost to fix that house up and bring it to that $300,000 value. So let's say the house is going to cost us $60,000 to fix up. You know, we took our contractor in there He went in there with a fine-tooth comb and he found everything that was wrong with that house. And we came up with a budget that it's going to cost $60,000 to fix that house up, including, watch this, what we call holding costs. Because you still have to pay. It's not just about the amount of money that it costs to fix the house, but while you're fixing the house, you have other costs. You have taxes, you have insurance, you got lawn upkeep, you got utilities. These things you have to pay while you're fixing up the house, right? So I'm factoring that number in that repairs cost, holding cost, right? So that's the second number that you need to know. Those are the two most important numbers that you need to know: after repair and repairs. The next number that you see in column E on row 4, you see it says LTV. That means loan to value. How much either will somebody loan you against the value of that house, or how much will you borrow against the value of that house, right? So this assumes that you're going to borrow money from somebody. And I'm not, and I'm going to say, even though you're going to borrow money from somebody, we're going to call this a cash purchase. And the reason why we're calling this a cash purchase is because when you offer cash for a deal, you for a property, you generally get a better deal because you can close quickly, and you want to be able to do this fast before somebody else gets it, right? So even though we're going to borrow this money, right, we're not going to borrow it from a bank. We're going to borrow it from another investor who this is his or her business, lending money for great real estate deals like this, right? Most times they only lend a certain percentage of the after repair value. Some people will lend 90%, some people will lend 80%, some people will lend 75%, but I found that my magic number just happens to be 70%. So regardless of what they will lend, I'm going to suggest or advise that you don't borrow more than 70% of the after repair value. If you can get the house for 60 or 65%, that's even better. But to be fair to the seller, 70 happens to be my sweet spot. What does that mean? That means on a $30,000 house,
300.
I'm sorry, $300,000. I told you I needed you. On a $300,000 house, you're going to borrow 70%, which is $210,000, which is right here. That's how much that lender will lend you, and that's how much you're going to borrow, right? But you also then need to factor in your repair costs, right? So, okay, let me back up. So this is how much that person will lend you, right? And now when you factor in your repair costs, you subtract your repair costs from the amount of money that they're going to lend you, that's going to give you the maximum amount that you can offer for that property. That's the most you're going to pay for that property. This is the key, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to write it down, take a picture. This is how you're supposed to buy real estate. It doesn't matter what that person asks for. That person can ask for $300,000. He knows that if his house was in great condition, he could sell it for $300,000. We don't care. He can ask for $900,000. Notice, no number change on this whole spreadsheet. I don't care what you put in there. Put in $1 million. It don't matter. Put in $10 million. Nothing on this spreadsheet changes because we don't care what they're asking. What we care about is how much we will pay for that property, right? And this is why it's so important to find distressed situations, because that is going to determine whether or not that person will accept your offer or not, right? So we can blank this out because the asking price doesn't matter at all, right? So stop buying houses based on what somebody asks. We don't care what they ask. We don't care what they're asking, right? We want them to care about what we're offering. Again, 70% of the after repair value is $210,000. $210,000 minus the repair cost gives us an offer amount of $150,000. That's the most we're going to pay for that property. That's where the deal is done, right? When you buy a property, there's going to be closing costs. We factor 2.5% because you're doing a cash deal. If you were doing any other type of deal, it would be more. 2.5% of that purchase is going to be $3,750. So you're going to be into that for whatever your down payment with that hard money lender is, plus your closing costs. All right. I'm going to scroll down now and show you how you determine how much you need to rent that house out for in order. Don't you yawn on me now. How much you need to rent that house out for in order for you to make money. So now we're at the bottom part of this spreadsheet. And you notice that we see a bunch of different numbers here, right? Here's what you want to do. You want to use hard money. That's when you buy from a private lender or an investor who lends his or her money for these types of deals. Call that hard money. It comes across the table as cash for you, but they generally lend that money at a high interest rate, 10%, 12%, 13%. And that's okay because you don't plan to hold that loan long. Consider that a short-term loan, long enough for you to get into that property, get it renovated, and get it rented out. Once you get it purchased, once you get it renovated, once you get it rented out, then you're going to go to an institutional lender and refinance that house. So you're going to get out of that high interest loan into a more reasonable loan. On investment property, the interest rates are usually about 1 point to 2 points higher or percent higher than the market rate. And that's okay because somebody else is going to be paying that bill, right? So let's say the interest rate on your refinance is going to be 7.5%. Again, you never borrow 100%. On your refinance, you want to cap yourself off at about 75%. So we know that the after repair value is $300,000. That becomes the basis for your refi. 75% of that is $225,000, right? What does that do? That pays back your hard money lender. It pays you back any money that you put into the property. So let's say you put $60,000 in for the renovation. It gives you your money back. So it gives you everything that you put into that property back. And if there's money left over, that money goes into your pocket. So when you look at this owner's investment section here, if that's a negative number, that's actually money coming back to you, right? That means you have a negative investment into this deal. You're getting $3,375 back, right? So that comes from subtracting the $225 minus all of these costs. That's your hard money loan plus your closing costs when you bought it, and the closing costs that you're going to incur when you refi it. So the closing cost on a refi is between 2 and 5%. So I put it at 3.5%. Closing costs on that refi going to be about 78, 75. When you add all of that up and subtract it from the loan amount, you're going to get money back. What does that mean? That means you have no money in this deal at this point. You've got the house renovated. You've got it rented out. You've given your hard money lender his money back. And now you walk away with $33.75 tax free, right? Because there's no such thing as tax on a loan, right? So this money is coming to you out of a loan, out of that 225 minus everything else. That's tax-free money, right? And so you do that after you get it rented out. And the reason why you do that after you get it rented out is because you want to know that that house is going to perform before you refinance it, right? All right. So now, how do you determine how much to rent that house out for? So I'm going to scroll down a little bit, and I'm going to show you the things that you have to consider, right? So notice here on the right-hand side, right? I'm going to start here where it says insurance rate, annual insurance, management, maintenance, vacancy rate, and your desired ROI. This section is very important because this really drives the cost of your investment, the ongoing cost of your investment. And this bottom number is you deciding or determining what you want your ROI to be. Your ROI stands for return on investment, right? This is another thing that we use to determine how much to buy a house for. We start off saying, I want to make a 10% return on this investment. So what that does then, it says, based on what I said I want to make, it's going to tell me how much I need to rent that house out for in order to get an annual net income that's going to return an investment. So let's watch. Let's see how it works. So for every loan that you have, you're going to have to pay principal and interest. You're going to have to pay taxes and insurance. And if you put less than 20% down, you're going to have to pay private mortgage insurance. That's one of the reasons why we never refinance that house for less than 20%, right? So here we're at 25%, right? If we had taken 100% LTV or 80 or 90% LTV, we would have had to pay private mortgage insurance. But because we're at 75%, which leaves 25% equity in there, we don't have to pay that. So principal, interest, taxes, and insurance totals $1,943, right? Then we also have to factor in your management, that's property management, maintenance and repairs, and vacancy rate, because there will be times when that house is not rented, right? So if you look over here under proposed gross rent, you see the PITI, principal, interest, tax, and insurance. If there's HOA fees, you want to factor that in. And we try not to buy houses in an HOA because they give you HE double hockey sticks, right? So we stay away from those. Your property management, your maintenance reserves. So you always want to set aside money every month and let it build up for when something breaks, right? And then your vacancies. You always want to keep setting aside money every month for when a house goes vacant. And then that's going to determine your net rent. So your rent minus all of these expenses, you want this to be a positive number, right? Right now, you see I've got $1,895 plugged in there, and it's not enough to cover my expenses because my expenses are more than $1,895. When I look over here, you see where I've calculated the rent needed to achieve my desired ROI. And so I see that based on all of those things, I need to be able to bring in at least $2,293 on that particular house in order to break even, right? So watch what happens as I start changing these numbers. If I put in $2,293, it's going to get me close, but it's not going to get me there because everything is based on percentages. So you're going to have to play with it a little bit. So $2,290, I'll put $2,294. And you see it's still negative because now the rent needed went up, because as that goes up, so does your other expenses, right? So I'm going to keep playing with it until I start breaking even, and until I get to my desired ROI, right? Right now, you'll notice I have an infinite ROI, and that's only because I got money back at the table when I close on that, when I refinance that house, which means I have no money in it at all. That's why you have an infinite ROI. My only job now is get the rent right. So right now it's saying I need 2373. Let me go and say I need 2375. Okay, now it's saying I need 2389. Let me say 2400. Uh-oh. Did I do that right?
Mm-hmm. Just now I went to 2394.
2394. Let me see. Those numbers look kind of bad to me though. Okay. Okay. Right. So now I just put a pretty big number in there just to make my net rent go higher. And now I'm having a positive cash flow, right? So $2,500 is about what I need to rent that house out to pretty much break even, right? $57 positive cash flow is no money, right? So what that tells me is that I may want to stay away from this $300,000 neighborhood and break that down to maybe a $200,000 neighborhood, because the what really matters is what is the market rent in that neighborhood. If it's $2,500, then that's okay. And so you got to know your area in that sense. But now, if I want to go a little more reasonable, I'll start playing with these numbers, right? So now I went to the $200,000 neighborhood. I can keep my repairs at $60,000. I keep everything else the same. In this example, it's saying now for that house in that $200,000 neighborhood, you shouldn't offer more than $80,000. What if I played with my repairs? So my repairs go down, the more I can offer for that property. And so somebody might be saying, "Oh, that's low." It may be, it may not be. It all depends on the situation. Again, you could have a person who's going through a death in the family and there's no mortgage on that house at all, is paid for free and clear, and they just want to get out and get rid of it. Still a $200,000 neighborhood, and they take your $90,000, right? What does that mean here? All I need to rent that house out is for about $1,900. Let me put $1,900 in here. And now you see I have a monthly positive cash flow of $155, and I have an annual net income of $1,864. And again, because I got $2,500 back at the closing table, when I refied it, have an infinite return on my investment because I don't have any money at all in this deal. Only way that changes is if I change this LTV. Let's say instead of borrowing $70,000 75% LTV, I went up to 75. Now you see it's no longer infinite, but I'm still pretty good. I'm at a 24.05 ROI. What does all of this mean? All this means is that what I'm trying to show you is that, going back to that statement, you don't make money when you sell, you make it when you buy. So you determine the money that you're going to make before you buy it, not after you bought it. All right. So I'm going to come out of here and see that we have any questions at all.
No question.
All right. No questions.
Anybody have one? You stop sharing. That's cool. Mm-hmm. I'm back in the studio.
Oh, here's the comments.
Yeah, but hold on, guys. We're trying to get back on the screen.
Give it 1 second.
Thank you.
There we go.
And
Okay.
Turn that comment thing off. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So questions.
Amy. Hey, Amy.
Hey, Amy. She said that Robin said that was a mouthful.
Yeah.
Amy said, how do you get investors? Okay. So I'm assuming that she's talking about the investors who will loan you the money. If that's what you were talking about, Amy, give me a thumbs up or something. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. So how you get those investors, really, you start with finding the deal, because those investors are more interested in the value of the deal than they are with you. They don't care about your credit score. They don't care about whether or not you have a job. All they care about is that deal worth investing in? Because what their motivation is if you fail on the deal, they end up with the house. Mm-hmm. And they know how to work that deal, right? The only difference between you and them is you are the one that found the deal, right? And if you do well on the deal, they're going to make their whatever interest they charged you. So once you find the deal, then you start looking for investors to lend you the money on the deal. And those numbers, if you play it by the numbers, just like I showed you, investors will come out of the woodworks. They got groups on Facebook. All you got to do is say, I got this deal under contract. It's worth $200,000 and I got it under contract for 90. Or I got it under contract for 100 and needs $50,000 in repairs. They'll be like, I'll lend you 80%. I'll lend you 90%. You say, nope, I only need 70. Mm-hmm. Right? You should have some of your own cash to contribute to that deal, right? So that you don't have to go up to that rate, but you can do it, right? Again, it's not about what you're bringing to the table except for that deal. Good question. Mm-hmm. All right.
And to elaborate what you said, you said you can find investor groups on Facebook. You can probably find on Instagram, TikTok. Mm-hmm. They're out there everywhere, and they're everywhere, and they're advertising. So they're promoting, they're posting stuff. So you know, once you put that post out there, somebody's going to grab a hold to it.
Yeah, yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah. There's other one thing I would advise, Amy, is if you're getting into the investor space, join your local real estate investment group. They're all there. Mm-hmm. Not only are they there, your contractors are there, your property managers are there, your real estate agents are there. So join that group and you're going to find yourself in a room with a whole bunch of people with a lot of money, mm-hmm. right? Or a lot of people with a whole bunch of money, however you want to look at it. They're there. Yeah. And that's the thing. We don't know what we don't know. And this stuff is going on every day, all day. And if you're not in that space, you would never know it. But I can pick up the phone right now and call 10 of them, right? Anybody will lend you the money.
So there you go, Amy. Call Robert.
Call Robert. Join what group? Write this down. Georgia REIA, GAREIA. That's Georgia's Real Estate Investment Association. There's more now. When I first moved to Georgia, that was the main one. There were 3,000 members. And on any given first Monday, there would be at least 1,500 at the meeting in a hotel. They're much smaller now because there are several of those investment groups around the city. You can go online and look them up. Just Google real estate investment groups in Atlanta. in any city that you decide to move to, whenever you set your feet, that should be the first group you join. Robin said, Melody, please send your email. Okay. For those of you who want more information, we will put it in the chat and we will send it to you. And
I'm getting it now.
Okay. In fact, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you our website address. I'm going to put our website address in the can I do it here?
You can.
Put our website address here.
Okay, I'll text it to you, Robin.
Realty.com. Did I spell that right? Yeah. Go to that website and it's going to ask you to register. When you register, it'll give us your contact information and we'll send you whatever you want us to send you. Uh-oh. It didn't like that. Okay, so I'll try to put that. Can you put it there? It might not like me put the website address in here. Okay, you put it in.
Did it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, or somebody did it. Okay, good. Anyway, so that's how you do that. With the little bit of time that we have left, that's analyzing the deal, right? That's the most important thing. Analyzing that deal before you buy, before you pull the trigger. You want to analyze that deal. And then, so then the last thing is closing the deal. So we kind of touched on it. You're looking at your finance options. Number one, you're looking at the finance options. When you're doing a real estate investment deal, whether you're doing a buy and hold or fix and flip, my advice, unless you have your own cash money, is to link up with one of these investors. They call them hard money lenders or private lenders, private money lenders. These are people who lend their money specifically for real estate deals. Use their cash, right? So that you don't put your cash on the line, right? Because if the deal goes wrong, at least your money ain't in it. You might owe this person some interest or they might take the house. That's okay, right? These folks don't even mess with your credit. They don't, it never hits your credit report, right? So use somebody else's cash to get in the deal. Once you get it stabilized, meaning you got to renovate it, you got to rent it out, then you go back to the bank and refi it, and now you're stable at a lower interest rate, and now you can go ahead and manage that product. You can manage it out for the rest of the term that you're going to have it. So cash is, in my opinion, the number one finance option. Whether it be your cash or somebody else's cash, let it come across as a cash purchase. All right. Closing the deal, you want to make sure you got your team involved. Who's your team? Your team is going to be made up of a realtor, an investor-friendly realtor, if you can find one. We happen to be investor-friendly realtors. Going to be made up of your lender. So you want to have a relationship with your lender. Whether it be a bank or a hard money lender, develop a relationship. The best way to develop a relationship with a hard money lender or private lender is to do deals with them, right? And honor your word. Do what you say you're going to do. Pay them their money, because then they start to trust you. And then the next deal, they start asking you less and less questions and things start moving faster and faster, right? Develop relationships with an attorney, a good closing attorney who understands real estate deals, right? So there was a while, there was only one attorney that I would use. And wherever he moved, I moved, right? If he moved office, I was right over there at his office because he understood how to do complex real estate deals. Understands, he's still doing it. Get with a good contractor and get with a good home inspector, because you want to make sure, number one, you know everything that's wrong with that house. That's your home inspector. And you want to make sure your contractor can fix everything that's wrong at a reasonable price, so that when you guys get together and y'all look at a property, you know exactly how much it's going to cost you to fix it up before you buy it, before you even make your offer, right? Then you want to go through that due diligence. You want to do your due diligence. You want to find out everything you possibly can about that neighborhood, about that house, through the home inspection. You want to make sure you get a title search to make sure that there's no liens that's going to come back on you, right? Like tax liens that can come back on you, medical liens that can come back on you from the other person. You want to make sure you do your appraisal, get a good appraisal to make sure you really understand what the true value of that house is in this after repair state, and the loan approval. Again, when you're dealing with hard money lenders or private investors, the approval process is really based on the strength of that deal, right? There's not a bunch of credit checks or nothing like that. It's just, is that a good deal? So the skill set that you want to develop is what we call underwriting. Everything that I just went through to determine whether that's a good deal, they call that in the real estate world underwriting. So what you guys just saw me do online is underwrite a deal. And that's basically saying, this is how much I'm getting ready to pay for this house based on what I know, right? And so that's pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. I want to give you that information, and my hope is that you will take this information and you will consider starting your own real estate investment portfolio. Again, it's always going back to why. It's not just about being able to make money, but you will need to be able to make money. You want to make sure you're not going in the hole doing this, right? That's definitely important. Nobody goes into business to lose money. You always want to make a profit, but we want to be able to do this for other reasons as well, right? Depending on how far you want to go with this thing, it can put you in a very strong position, especially if you come up with a way to pay these properties off free and clear. I didn't have time to talk about it today, but if you recall, I showed you another spreadsheet that did the same type of analysis, but for fix and flips, meaning you're going to buy them, fix them up, and resell them quickly. That is a way to pay off these houses or these properties free and clear in a short amount of time. That's a great skill set to learn, because if you get in a position where your portfolio has no debt and it has income coming in, you're in a much stronger position to be able to do other things. You can leverage that to go bigger, right? You can use that money now. You can use that money to offset your living expenses, your retirement, if that's where you are in life. And if you want to, that money can be passed on to your heirs, when you pass on, when you leave this earth, right? And it's a whole nother conversation called estate planning that we would need to talk about. But you want to make sure that you put these properties in some type of protected vehicle that will reduce the tax liabilities on your heirs. So if you put it in a trust, then it will reduce the tax liability. And you want to make sure you probably don't want to have these properties in your personal name either for liability purposes, right? People used to think you can put them in an LLC to hide yourself as the owner, but people can find you in an LLC. I can find anybody. I've become an investigator simply by doing this stuff. I can find anybody. So there's ways, but you do want to separate the liability of this business from your personal life, right? So if something does happen to that property and you happen to get sued, right? And don't let that scare you. You let that lawsuit be isolated to that property and not your personal life, right? So if they have to take that property, so be it, take it. But leave me alone. Leave me out of it. Right? Okay.
That's the answer to Amy's question.
What is that?
When you refinance, should it be under your name or a business name?
Oh, great question. When you
we actually had that conversation with our tax attorney. Exactly.
Oh, they didn't mention that as the guy, as a person who should be a part of your team. Get you a good tax accountant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, a
2-in-1.
Yeah, a tax attorney is a nice person to have on your team.
Yeah.
Get you a good tax accountant. But the question is, when you refinance, should it be in your name or your business name? Ideally, none of this stuff should be in your name. Right? Even when you buy the house using the hard money lender's money, you should buy that house in your LLC's name, in your business name, right? Again, to separate the liabilities of that house from your personal life. Now, when you refi it, most times, if you go through a traditional lending institution, they will not let you refi it in a business name. They want you to be the personal guarantor on that. But there are some lenders who will allow you to refi in your business name. There are programs that will allow you to do it, right? So we've talked about the DSCR loan, debt service coverage ratio. Again, that loan doesn't care about your credit score or anything. It only cares that the rent coming in on that house is enough to cover the debt with some left over. And those types of loans, sometimes they'll allow you to refi it in your business name. Bottom line, try to keep this stuff out of your personal name if you can. Sometimes you can't at first, but as soon as you're able, try to get it to a place where you got it in your business name. Great question. Thanks so much. I'll be looking forward to learning more. God bless you. Good night.
That's Sister Love signing off.
Is that Sister Love?
Yes.
Deanna Jackson?
Yeah, she said Sister Love.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
We know another Deanna Jackson.
Yeah, but she said Sister Love when she first got it. See that?
Sister Love, love you. All right. Good deal. All right, y'all. Again,
Sure.
Melody, we want to see somebody else comment.
No, I want the end. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Oh, you setting us up for the closeout.
Amy, if you want some more information, feel free to call us. Call us, text us. We'll help you.
Yeah. Spread the word. Share this. Share the recording of this video with your friends, family, relatives. We're doing this for no money at all. You know that there's plenty of people out there trying to lead you to their consulting program and lead you to their this, that, and the other. No, this is free of charge. And the stuff that I gave you tonight, I'm telling you, people pay big time money for it. But because we're giving it to you through the abundant way, it's absolutely free. We just hope that you use it, and we pray for your much success.
Yeah.
Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Go to the website, register on that website. That'll give us your contact information, and we can connect from there. All right? Okay, so if there's nothing else, how do we do it? If all hearts and minds are on one accord. I always wanted to say that.
Reverend Davis.
If all hearts and minds are on one accord, we will leave you with what? Leave you with this song. And we just want to say we love you and good night.
Love you guys.